What are you struggling with? What blockages do you have going on? Book a free personal analysis call. I can help you. Let me be your woman, 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 woman. I can be your woman. Welcome back, beautiful souls. This is episode 2 of my journey. Today we're exploring ages 8 to 12, a time when I quietly began searching for my identity, questioning my worth, and learning how to survive a world that didn't always feel safe. As a child, I believe everything happening around me must have been normal because it was happening to everyone. So I told myself, this is just life. Everybody gets treated like this. It's not that bad. But when you're constantly comparing pain, you start minimizing your own. This is called comparative suffering. And it teaches you to ignore your hurt instead of healing it. As a child, I could feel people's energy. I didn't understand spiritual discernment. I didn't even know how to understand it until I actually fully read the Bible and started applying it to myself. This made things complicated because how do you protect yourself from people who you expected to love and trust? All my life, I had to fight, not just for space, but for peace. It was very difficult making it to 30 and getting through it because so many people judge on the external, but they don't really too much focus on the internal until you pretty much ready to crash out or be suicidal or end up in the mental hospital. Then that's when, they take it serious. But that's not how it works. Some people in my own family were jealous. Others tried to bully me. One of the harshest memories that'd be on my mind. We were at the pool. I was with my cousins on my dad's side, and I wasn't a swimmer, so I stayed where it was safe. But one time, I sat on the edge of the deep end, and I decided to get my feet wet and just put my feet in. And one of my cousins had pushed me in. I remember being underwater, panicking, and looking up, seeing them laughing. As I'm struggling trying to get up and just, find some type of safety or something to hold on to so I can be okay. By some miracle, I was able to pull myself up. That moment taught me not everyone around you wants to see you safe. To cope, I spent a lot of time in my own world. My imagination gave me the joy and peace I didn't always feel in real life, or at least in my environments. But even in my joy, people still tried to label me. And like I said, as I got older, I realized like a lot of people don't think or overthink. There was someone I knew personally who once tried to label me as autistic. And I'm sure he wasn't the only one who thought something was off or just because I didn't act the way they expected. But the truth is, I've always been a social child. I was expressive, assertive, and full of energy. Family used to always call me the one with the big mouth, the one who was too loud, too opinionated, too much. But looking back, I know what it really was. A lot of what I experienced was people would tell me that they would love me, and I said back. I never felt the connection, like a true connection. And I really honestly never felt true connections besides my dad. But when I got into relationships, romantic relationships, and friendships, that's when I experienced more authenticity with people. I didn't feel seen, so I started performing love. Like, I love you too. Just saying, I love you back, But deep down, I didn't trust it. I always remember the face and I always just remember how I'm treated. I did have some good memories, and most of them were with my dad. He taught me how to ride a bike. He showed up to my school events. He was kind, patient, and honest. I trusted him. He made me feel like I mattered, but something shifted around age 10. He became more distant and less available. From my knowledge, it was the parent and child work dynamic playing a big part in that, and just stress and everything that comes with taking care of a family. That loss, it hit differently, and I didn't realize until like my mid 20s when it was actually really affecting me in so many different ways, and how it really did hurt me or break my heart a lot more than I expected. But it did take me a while. The one thing about me, I will run away and go find a solution. Thinking of how I am today, I'm just like, I ran from that situation, or I healed from it, or just understand it. After so much disappointment and betrayal and confusion, something inside me started to shut down. I started expecting people to show up for me, hoping things could change. It's so crazy how some of those feelings I still feel now, like it's on and off, because it's always once I get one start, then drama, then start again, drama, and not because of me, but more so being a target. So it caused me to pull away and keep to myself more, not because I didn't love people, but because I didn't trust them. My world became very internal. I wasn't delusional. I didn't create a delusional life or was lost. But with no support or no one to really be there to really talk to you about getting that type of help, you just be like, oh, just get over it. Or, it's just life, or things will get better. Because I made my world so internal, I started planning my future very obsessively, not out of ambition, but as a form of escape. And yes, it started very young, between 10 and 12, but first it started with the young, oh, I'm going to run away. I did have that moment, but that didn't work out. From that, I thought if I could just make it out of here, I could just figure out my life, because that's all I was doing. It's kind of like navigating it on my own. It's always funny when people try to see if I'm authentic or if I'm myself, and I'm just like, you all have no idea. It was entertaining, but nowadays people do not know I can be very sarcastic or humorous when I want to be. Even back then, I wanted to do something deep, and I knew I wanted to do something that would keep me stable for myself. I made a list and I wrote down psychologist, anthropologist, forensic scientist, detective, or researcher. Clearly, or well, I didn't make it to be psychologist, but becoming a coach is very, very major for me, especially with the amount of knowledge and the lack of faith I had back then within myself and just in God in general. I wasn't just curious, I was trying to understand the why behind my pain. Like I said, the comparative suffering, you think everybody's going through it, so that's that. But then when I got to my closer to 30, that's when I really, really become independent around 25, 26, when I really was just doing my own thing and exploring. And that's when I really got to learn that a lot of stuff that I went through was not normal. And that was just making plans for myself, making goals for myself without having to overpower anyone or cause any type of recklessness or nuisance. Between spiritual sensitivity, emotional disconnection, and constant self protection, I grew up fast. By age 12, I knew how to cook certain things, fix certain things, fight, change diapers, ride the train, and so much more by age 12. Nowadays, you probably won't see that too much, but back then I feel like it was a little bit more normal for like younger people to go out. But once I got to be able to be outside and explore and just expand, that was what I did. And clearly, that's kind of how I still am now. When I look back at my life, I think about the times when I would go to school and people who didn't know me or just knew of me would label me as quiet or say, "You're so quiet," not knowing I was so loud in the inside. I just know for so long my silence has always been mistaken as ignorance or being abnormal. I couldn't keep looking outside of me for validation or love. I did anyway. Looking for people to care or looking for people to be honest with you, it could do more damage than good when you're looking for it. Versus when you're just looking for all that for yourself, you're just constantly pouring into yourself. It's crazy how it went from me wanting to have a happy, successful life, similar to what we have on TV, minus like the luxury, wanting a husband, wanting to take that girl, especially if he was born in the 90s or before then. A lot of us had that idea. So it'd be what you want versus the reality. And it's just like for me, when it comes to romantic relationships, I've only been in 3 long-term relationships. People who don't know me, they always assume that lost out on love or I couldn't find it or I just been damaged so bad. But me doing this YouTube and me telling this story, it's actually giving insight to everyone who was always curious or who always try to figure me out. But just enough to help y'all understand it's not just you or you're not the only person and you're not lost and you're not unloved. There's people who are going through the same thing or just it'll be okay. I was already learning how to soothe, self-protect, and pretend. And mind you, this is all in the age 12. But pretending isn't healing and performance isn't love. Once I got out of high school, I had to figure it out on my own. And from there to now, it's always been me and my choices. And my choices have never been bad. I have made bad choices, but my intentions have never been bad. I was intended on suppressing how I feel just to maintain the relationship. It still gets looked at as selfish, but I had to learn and grow to understand like it's okay. Like this is your life. I know I shocked a lot of people who been around me. I used to always think like they have no idea, like they don't know me, or you know parts of me, my fun side. But I have, as a Sagittarius, have 3 different personalities. So sometimes it could be a little multiple, like a genie, but that's a rebirth pretty much. So that was my life all the way up till 12, and how I am now. If you ever feel like you had to just fight to just be safe, I see you. I do see you. Some of the most painful memories are the ones we carry in silence. And when we let it build up and we just hold it or suppress it, it does so much damage. Even when you pray, you have to actually take action for yourself in order for you to see results. Getting up and making different plans to make yourself happy. No, it's simple words, simple small action to help you break that silence or not suppress your feelings. But you don't have to carry your feelings alone. It's never ever up for negotiation, ever. In episode 3, I'll share how my teenage years led me deeper into identity confusion and emotional mass. But for now, take a moment to ask, where did I stop trusting love? What parts of me started performing just to survive? That's where healing begins. And that's how we dive deep into our emotions and clear them out so that we can have more positive outlook on our own lives. What are you struggling with? What blockages do you have going on? Book a free personal analysis call and I can help you. Like, comment, and share your reflections because your story deserves to be heard too. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at I am Coach Aaliyah. That will also be a link in the bio. If you want to buy me a coffee, that will also be a link for that as well. I appreciate all support. Thank you for holding space with me. Until next episode, bye. Let me be your woman.